Okay.
Hi everyone, we are live and welcome to InFocus with Modena. Today we are going to be going over the best practices in BIM. My name is Brooke and with me I have my two colleagues and I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Okay.
I'm Ali Malefe and I'm a design technology specialist specializing in BIM coordination.
Right, and I'm Tabedo. I'm a BIM coordination team lead, right, and also BIM manager at most of our clients. Right. Okay.
We'll give it about another minute or two. I see there's a lot of attendees jumping in, if you guys don't mind. Yes, I think we can kick it off.
Okay. Awesome. Can we get started? Okay, awesome. Right. So welcome to this webinar. In this webinar will be it's one of those many series that we'll be hosting this year, and the specific one is focused on BIM best practices. But we'll be looking at some coordination workflows in the AECO industry, right? And we would like to keep this interactive, right? And you should see there's a section where you can ask questions. And there's also a chat. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to just place it in there. We will have an opportunity for Q&As just to go through the questions that come up in this webinar. Okay, just to get started, I do have Bill, Paul, and go onto slido.com. You can type in that code, the 3472170, or just scan the QR code, right? And just a simple question. I'll pull it up on the screen as well. Just give me a second. Yeah. I'll just give you guys like a couple of minutes just to answer the question. So basically, it's what is your biggest challenge when it comes to BIM collaboration on projects? I see you've got 3 inputs already. I'll just wait for it to just get up to like 10. Quite interesting, right? So I see a lot of people here saying 50% of the responses have an issue with alignment on standards, especially ISO 19650. I expected this one to come up, poor communication between disciplines. Right, that's common within our industry, and hopefully we address most of these issues in this webinar. Okay. Obviously, we won't be able to go through a lot of training content, but it's quite interesting to see the feedback from here. I will leave the slider on for the duration of the webinar. You guys can just carry on and respond to it. Okay. All right, so just getting into it. So for this session, we will be going through just basically the importance of BIM, right? We'll speak a little bit about challenges that we have in BIM collaboration. I will talk about ISO 19650 as well at a high level, right? There's a tool that we'll start looking at called Plannerly that assists with putting together a BIM project. Ali will talk about other BIM tools, BIM Collaborate Pro, and the utility solutions that we have. And then we'll look at some best practices and actually study. Okay. All right. We're good to go?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Right. So what is BIM? Okay. So I was going to be a little bit I don't want to say this word, but yeah, I was going to be a little bit naughty with this question, right? But a lot of people have a misconception that if you use a 3D software like Revit, that they're not BIM compliant, right? And BIM itself is not just 3D models and Revit models, it's a flow of information. Right? So if you look at this little image here, I'll put it up because BIM involves this four sectors on a project, right? I always start off with saying people. The people are the most important part when it comes to BIM. And with that, for me, it's leadership, right? So it comes from your directors, project owners, developers, contractors. They play a key component when it comes to delivering a BIM project, right? Policies, there's a standards like ISO 19650. BIM also involves a lot of technology, like what we'll see today. What's commonly used in the industry is Revit, right? And there are other BIM softwares as well, cloud solutions that Ali's going to talk about, right? And the biggest part of BIM for me is a process, right? The process of setting up your standards, right? How you work. I think, Ellie, you're going to speak about a bit of lean method methodology, right? And obviously information management, right? So for me, that is BIM. These are the components that BIM. I'm just going to play a quick video, right? That further explains what BIM is.
BIM. You've probably heard about it. And you may know that today's architects, engineers, construction professionals, and owners are using BIM from small or seemingly simple projects, like a building or roadway, to complex, multidisciplinary projects, like a major urban development, and everything in between. But what is it? What is BIM? BIM, Building Information Modeling. At its core, is a holistic process for creating and managing project data within an intelligent 3D model. From plan and design to build and operate, it's much more than a single tool or technology. It's the foundation for digital transformation in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. With BIM, project teams can collaborate in a shared cloud-based environment. BIM allows teams to create a dynamic 3D model of all the data associated with the project, capturing all physical and functional characteristics and relationships for buildings and infrastructure. Everyone on the team can access all essential data in real time to collaborate more easily, to use simulation and analysis, and convey design intent to improve designs, quality, and client satisfaction. And with today's critical need for sustainable construction practices and eco-friendly structures, teams can efficiently explore a wide range of options and develop innovative strategies to deliver comfort, performance, and energy savings. BIM enables close collaboration across design and construction teams, which can help reduce errors and rework and help teams achieve improved timelines, cost savings, and better project outcomes. Innovators like you are shaping new possibilities, moving ideas and designs from 2D to 3D and into the cloud, collaborating smarter to create solutions that the world needs today and tomorrow. And that is the power of BIM.
Yeah. Awesome. Did you guys see that? Are we still good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Right. So as mentioned in that video as well, BIM incorporates a lot of information and flow of data. Right? So the idea here with this webinar or in this session, I want us to have a conversation, right? I'll put you on the spot, Brooke, as well, and Ellie, right? And just talk about how we put together this data and the information that we gather to deliver our projects. Okay. Right. So obviously, just starting off with a few challenges, right? And I came up with this. I didn't come up with a quote. You can't come up with a quote, right? So I found this quote by Frank Lloyd Wright. It says you can either use an eraser at the drafting table, or your erase tool in your AutoCAD drafting software, or a sledgehammer on the construction site, right? And I found this quite relevant for what we're talking about in this session, right? Because a lot of times we ignore collaboration and setting up projects correctly and end up having to pour and break down slabs and stuff like that on site, which becomes costly for owners and consultants on a project. But I don't want to feel like I'm talking a lot. Carry on. Okay, so what we've picked up or what we've seen in the industry that the construction is collaborative. We all work together when you deliver an asset or a property, but it's still fragmented, right? And a typical construction project consists of, it's made up of multiple teams across all phases of a project, like you're seeing on the screen, from design, plan, build, operate. In the instances from design phase, conceptual, construction, where you're putting up together the building, and to handover. We do work together, but a lot of times the teams that we work together are still fragmented in their different silos, right? And we've seen that owners and subcontractors also use different systems and platforms. And in fact, if you look in the construction industry, 25% of companies use 5 or more different software applications to deliver a project, right? Which makes integration and communication harder. And it also limits the project data that is used project, right? On top of that, we find that communication within a team happens through various formats as well. And 70% of our projects globally, say probably 90% in South Africa as well, but still communicate on site on paper, in traditional paper-based processes, right? And this issue has an added layer of complexity when we consider the communication between different teams. I wish I had a little bit of feedback, but you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Cool. And here's a few stats. If you 35% of time is wasted on projects, right? On non-optimal activities. Right. So for me, those non-optimal activities will be stuff like receiving a drawing, having to learn the drawing again, right? Or getting outdated data, not working on the correct version of information on site, right? And if you work it out, it's like 14 hours per person per week that gets wasted during optimal activities. And then obviously on project, this results into around $280 billion of industry annual net rework costs caused by poor project data and communication. And its impact on business, 95.5%, was by poor project data and communication as well. All right, so this not managing our data and setting up our projects correctly does impact collaboration and coordination on project. Do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's also just about the frustration that it causes amongst team members as well. Or when you walk into a meeting and somebody says, "Oh, I didn't get that," or "I was working on a previous version." So we're just trying to work through all of that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Right. Right. So the strategy that gets implemented in the industry is first to digitize, right, our work. So we're fully enabling the construction business for the digital age, right, and using tools like ACC, tools like Revit, implementing standards like the ISO 19650 as well, right? Next, after you've digitized and tried the correct standard, is to integrate all those platforms, right? Ellie and I work a lot with full professional teams, right? Construction teams and consultants. And they work, for example, we had a structural engineer working on Tekla, right? And they needed to collaborate with a team that's working on Revit. Right? So we needed to integrate their workflow with the rest of the consulting team. Right. That can only happen if you digitize your work as well. Okay. And then lastly, it's basically just optimizing that workflow by using tools like ACC, which is a cloud platform, or I'd commonly say like having a CDE, a common data environment, where everyone shares information and always has up-to-date info. Right. Just a quick example. I'm putting Brooke on the spot. You talk well about this.
So you get the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and it is broken up into your design, your plan, your build, and your operate. So you can use it all the way from your conception all the way over to your facility management and asset management as well. So this is a fantastic tool as your common data environment.
Awesome. Right. And the nice thing with this setup for ISO 19650, right? I think we will talk about a little bit about it as well a bit later. Okay. Do you want to add anything to this?
No. I'll go into it when I get to collaboration.
Cool. So you know what this means for project, right? Even though we're all fragmented, but and we all have different roles, different stages of a project, what this allows us to do, it allows us to connect our teams throughout the project life cycle, right? So it enables easier collaboration from a single source of truth, which is a common data environment, and whether you're in the office or on site, everyone collaborates through your connected devices. Okay, and this is done by delivering drawings through the CDE models, Revit models, advanced steel, whatever 3D model tool you're using, having teams working in a single platform, right? With ACC as well, we won't get into it. You can also track and manage your assets, cost management, data, and owners have insights on what's happening on your project. We will go into a bit of that as well. Cool. Everything good? Right. And just first thing first is our global standards. So recently, I say recently, like 3 years ago, this has been in conversations for quite a bit, but South Africa started adopting ISO 19650 aggressively on projects. We've seen a lot of projects implementing this international organization standards, right? And I don't know if people know this, but I think now eight ISO 19650 documents. Most of the time we focus on 1 and 2, which is your concepts and principles. 2 is delivery first assets. And then we also have a document for operational, information exchange, security. There were 2 other ones that I didn't add on here. But the idea with this is just to better manage our information across the whole of the built and natural environment, right? And the thinking behind setting up these standards, as most of us would know, they were adopted from the PAS 1192 standards, right, which were the UK standards, right? And the reason that happened, just to have a little bit of conversation, the UK government mandated BIM, right, for all government projects, right? So they started requiring 3D models with data in them. And so the industry from the UK needed to adjust and change the way they work, right? And start delivering not just pretty pictures, but models with actual information. And those models were used for facility management and operating the assets, right? So what that did, it's obviously you spread out throughout the entire globe, and as we all do, we all end up working in multinational projects, and it just became easy. It became that everyone started working in this manner, right? So just like what I showed previously, ISO also focuses on how people do their work, focuses on the technology that is used, and also focuses how things are done, right? And without going into too much detail, right? Okay. Okay, let me just explain this. Right, so if you look at the ISO standard, so traditionally, if you look on a project, you have an owner, you'll have a principal agent, and your consulting team or professional team, right? And if you look at the ISO 19650 workflow, you'd have an appointing party, which is owner developer, lead appointed party, which would be your architect or principal agent on a project, and then your appointed parties, which should be your your consultants and professional team. So each of these parts of a project have certain tasks to do, right? So on a high level, this is public knowledge. Everyone should know this when working on a project. An owner and appointing party would just want to get a pointer going, yeah? Cool. Right. An appointing party and owner would put together documents to explain what the expectations are on a project. You call those OIRs, PIRs, asset information requirements, or an exchange information requirement document, right? That information is fed to your principal agent, lead appointed party, where they'll put together a BIM execution plan all the way through to a responsibility matrix and put it together an information delivery plan. right? That's then adopted by your consultants. So generally, ISO 19650 structures this flow of data or information, right? It's just a little QR code. It explains that workflow in detail. You guys can scan that and just go through it. Okay, right. Just don't want to waste too much time. Right. So part one, documents are for the appointing party, like I mentioned. 2 and 3, appointed party and consultants. And then part 4, this is where you now start working on the project. We do a lot of verification back and forth between making sure that people are following the delivery plan. Makes sense? Okay. Makes sense, bro? Oh, right. And looking at this, yeah, it took like a year to read those ISO 19650 standards. And knowing that you're working on a day-to-day jobs, but with actual deliverables to consider, there are tools that assist with putting this together. And one of those tools is Plannerly. I just quickly go through what Plannerly is, right? But it's basically a BIM management platform, right? If you're a BIM manager or you're a BIM lead in your project, this is a very useful tool to manage and track and verify information that's being put in your project, right? And we mentioned a little bit on lean, on smart lean BIM, right? And the definition for this is the right time at the right time by the right people for the right reasons. And it's very difficult to actually get this done correctly on a project, because there's a lot that's happening on projects, right? Ellie and myself spend a lot of time doing coordination on projects, dealing with clashes, right? You get marketing teams, there's design work that's being done by the consultants. And recently we're seeing a lot of simulation and walkthroughs being required by clients as well. And then further on that, there's the construction that's not even on this slide, and also facility management. So there's a lot that goes into setting up your project. Let's go next. Okay, got it. Cool. So what Plannerly does, it helps us plan, scope, schedule, track, and verify, right, to reduce your project risk. And on the planning part, I'm sure we've all worked on BIM execution plans, right? We've written several BIM execution plans, and in the industry, we're seeing that these documents are becoming important. People do actually follow them, but we still get instances where BIM execution plan is created and discussed in the first week of the project, the follow through afterwards, right? So what Plannerly does, it allows you to collaborate and put together this BIM execution plan with the rest of your team, right? So there are templates built into Plannerly, right? Using ISO 19650 standards, also other standards from other regions as well, right? So the beauty of Plannerly, you can put together your BIM execution plan in collaboration with the rest of your project team. So what we initially do would have BIM leads from each consultant invited to the platform, and we write this document together. Okay, right. Once that's done, it gets shared, goes through to the project. We're then able to start setting up requirements for the project and scoping. We basically do visual scoping. What's it playing? Sorry, guys. There we go. Cool. Right. So what this means for BIM manager or when you're working on a project is scoping what's required. I'm sure you've heard of level of development, LOD 200, 300, etc., etc. Plannerly actually allows you to manage the level of information that's being placed in your components, right? And based off your ISO 19650 standards as well. Yeah. Right. I'm just gonna skip this. Right. Then it will help you to schedule, right, your timeline. So initially happens, Ellie, you worked on something similar like this on one of our clients where you needed to check and track deliverables for specific stuff. Quickly add on that.
Construction project. So basically what we used was a software called Navisworks, where we quantified the materials and the quantities of what would be needed during our construction phase. And also we use that information to give us a timeline of the stages of the construction project so that we can prep in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I'm just going, just for the sake of time, marketing is looking at me funny. Right. You
Your
can
schedule.
right, and then also track when those items are being delivered as well. Right. So would assist you in tracking. Right. Let's see this. Sorry. Cool. Right. So you can in Planoly set your platform to show objects that are being coordinated, what's in progress, what's modeled correctly, what still needs to get modeled, etc., etc. It does feel like a little bit of micromanagement, but when you're working in a BIM project and you need to deliver assets to your owner, it's important to do this early on your project instead of doing it at handover. Okay. Right, and then lastly, this is my favorite part, really, where you're able to verify your information, right? And the nice thing with this connects directly to ACC, right? So what we would be doing in ACC is basically running coordination, collaborating, setting up clashes, tracking issues. But as a BIM manager, if you wanted to verify that all the information is in the project, you'd use a platform like Planoly to check, send feedback back to your consultants to update information that's missing. And as you can see on the screen, all the properties that are in your authoring software comes across to Planoly, similar to what it would do in ACC. Okay, and what we've done there, all verified information is published and ready to move on to the next stage. Right, I'm going to hand over to Denise. Yes, she'll be going into ACO BIM coordination.
Okay, so for the next part of this webinar, we're going to focus on architecture, engineering, construction, and operations as a whole, and how BIM has enhanced the entire field.
Let me switch that. I'm sorry. Should be okay now. Sorry, there we go.
There we go.
Cool.
So I want to start by focusing on the key methodologies in AEC BIM. So one of the most important things is collaborative workflows. So establishing clear communication channels and protocols amongst team members from the very initial stages of the project, and also regular meetings to discuss progress and challenges, and use of collaborative tools to share updates and feedback. Another important methodology is case detection and resolution, where we proactively identify and resolve conflicts in the models before they actually reach the construction stage. And also utilizing tools like Navisworks for automated clash detection and scheduling regular reviews of models to address potential risks. This is just a screenshot of what the clash detection would look like in AEC or in any of our clash detection softwares. Another key methodology is integrated project delivery, where a project delivery method that emphasizes collaboration amongst all the stakeholders, where we engage all the parties early on in the project stage, and we share the risks and rewards to foster a collaborative environment. I'd also like to touch on lean construction principles, where we focus on minimizing waste and maximizing the value throughout the project cycle, where we also focus on streamlining the process and eliminating non-value adding activities, and we use visual management tools to track the progress of the project as a whole. Next, I want to touch on the challenges in AEC. So AEC faces numerous challenges and coordination that can impact the project's efficiency, timeline, and costs. One of the key challenges is communication gaps, where teams often work isolated instead of in tandem, leading to misunderstandings and misinformation. Another big challenge is technology integration, where multiple softwares can create compatibility issues and require extensive training, which costs time and money. Clash detection as well, where complex models make it difficult to identify clashes, delaying the project. And also, I'd like to talk more about what Tubbs touched on, BIM tools, essential BIM tools that can sort of assist in the whole process of AEC. So one of the major tools is Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro, and I just want to touch on how NCC, Revit, and Navisworks kind of work together to facilitate Collaborate Pro. Next.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
So before I play you this video, Revit is widely known as a comprehensive modeling tool for designing and documenting building projects. However, it can also be used as a BIM collaboration tool due to these key features. One of the features is work sharing, where multiple users can access and edit the same Revit file working simultaneously. Central models, where a central file is stored as a master file, allowing team members to create local copies for editing. Real-time updates, where changes made by specific users are visible to the others, enhancing communication and coordination. And also version management, where changes are tracked and a history of the model updates is maintained. And lastly, cloud integration, where it leverages Autodesk BIM Pro for enhancing accessibility and collaboration. I'm just going to play you this video.
Technology, guys. Which one is it?
Revit collaboration.
Okay, sorry. Really? Sorry, Ali. It's weird.
Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro provides the ability to author Revit models in the cloud concurrently with other team members, regardless of physical location. This is the same Revit Cloud work-sharing feature available in Autodesk BIM 360 Design. In this example, you and another member of your team are working in the same Revit model. When you attempt to change the positions of a few walls on the ground floor, you receive a notification that your colleague currently owns those design elements. You can request permission to take ownership of those elements to make your design change. Upon receiving your request, your colleague can preview the design elements that you need to borrow and grant you permission to take ownership. Once permission is granted, you can modify the wall positions. You may also use work-sharing display modes to visually distinguish work-shared project elements. Available modes include checkout status, owners, model updates, and work sets. In this example, you enable the owner mode. This highlights the elements that you and your fellow team member have borrowed and helps you avoid conflicts when working near each other in the model.
And another software that I'd like to touch on is Navisworks. Navisworks is a powerful software tool utilized in AEC industries for its effective model coordination and project management. The key features that I'd like to highlight today is model aggregation, where we combine multiple 3D models from different disciplines, architecture, structural, mechanical engineering into a single common data environment, and this helps us facilitate a holistic project visualization. Another key feature is class detection, where we can identify the conflicts between models, This helps team resolve issues for the construction phase before we actually get to construction. The next two features that I like to touch on are my favorite. So quantification, where Navisworks extract quantities from the model for cost estimation and resource planning. It ensures alignment across disciplines regarding the materials and the quantities, and also something that Tubbs touched on, which is 4D simulation, also known as timelining, where it integrates time with the 3D model for project scheduling, and it allows for visualization of the construction process over time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play you a quick video.
Okay.
Yes, give you more insight on all these key that I've just mentioned.
Cool.
Navisworks manages large datasets, whether large-scale city models or detailed facilities from numerous industries, including sporting stadiums and hospitality venues, power and process plant installations both on and offshore, and manufacturing for factory layout and simulation. Currently our largest user base is within the AEC industry, especially strong in construction. Here we see virtual design and construction specialists and construction managers using Navisworks to create a multidiscipline model, integrated from architectural, structural, mechanical and civil engineering models and specialist trades. This can then be further integrated with construction schedules for 4D simulation like this, enabling the project to be reviewed and analysed by all stakeholders in both space and time. Virtual design and construction is becoming to AEC what digital prototyping is to the manufacturing industry. And we're starting to see these highly detailed models used throughout the building's life cycle, linking to facilities management or operations and maintenance systems, with Navisworks providing a visual portal to this project intelligence. Navisworks provides a comprehensive review toolkit, including sectioning tools using direct manipulation to quickly isolate specific project areas for review. Realistic navigation features such as gravity enables real-time exploration and interaction with the project model, providing all stakeholders, including owners, the opportunity to experience a project before it's real. Accurate measurements can be taken directly from the model, during review or in the field. Markup tools enable collaborative review and communication across distributed project teams. Navisworks further delivers powerful analysis tools, including clash and interference analysis, management and reporting tools that enable users to find and address coordination issues virtually before getting to site, which can generate an enormous return on investment. As well as finding conflicts, you can manage these too. For example, grouping clashes that involve the same element enable you to deal with them together as a single issue. And using comments, statuses and reports to communicate and track these issues through to resolution. As mentioned earlier, integrating design and construction models with construction schedules from third-party planning applications enables project stakeholders to visualize and validate their plans, and also simulate alternatives to prepare for what-if scenarios and identify optimum schedules. So here you can see the schedule in a Gantt chart within Navisworks, with each task linked to the design elements within the project model. In the simulation, you can see the date up in the top left, and you have a project timeline that you can play back, scroll through, or jump to specific dates. This type of analysis can be further augmented to include logistics simulations, creating mock-up scenarios of construction sites to assist in planning and visualizing areas of potential risk. For example, finding optimum positions for site cranes, and ensuring adequate clearance with surrounding buildings, topography, or temporary structures, such as scaffolding. Using the schedule to identify when materials will be delivered to site and where they can be staged, for example, whilst maintaining relevant access routes. The simulations can also be used to communicate temporary road closures, diversions and so on, in order to gain local government approvals or public acceptance. Or to ensure adequate access to install specialist equipment, or to explore removal of equipment for maintenance purposes. So as you've seen, Autodesk Navisworks software facilitates improved collaboration between project teams by integrating diverse design and construction data to create a coordinated whole project model, which can be reviewed, analyzed, and communicated.
Awesome.
So that was just an overview of what Navisworks can do for us. And then nextly, I want to get into Autodesk ACC, a platform designed to connect teams, workflows, and data in construction. It integrates various tools and services to enhance collaboration, project management throughout the construction lifecycle.
Okay.
Without efficient document management, construction teams waste countless hours looking for the right information. Having accurate information at your fingertips is key to avoiding mistakes and staying on schedule. With the document management capabilities in Autodesk Build, teams can easily organize, distribute, and share files across the project lifecycle. Let's see how teams are ensuring project success by centralizing documents and creating a single source of truth. A structured document control process ensures the right information is in the right hands, keeping project teams in sync and on track. This starts by setting permissions for all project members at either a folder or subfolder level. Teams can choose to share a folder or file with just project members or to other project collaborators. Customize sharing with version options and link expiration dates for additional control. Send transmittals to specific users, roles, or companies. Customize view permissions and include messages, keeping all stakeholders updated. Team members can also quickly find the information they need by filtering searches by folders or files, file types, versions, and custom attributes. And for team members in the field, files can be synced to mobile devices by uploading into the For the Field folder.
Yeah.
So overall, these three softwares work together to kind of form a common data environment where the work in Revit. You take it over to Navisworks to do clash coordination, and then you finally use ACC as a document management tool. All these work together in as the BIM Collaborate Pro collection. Yes.
Okay, you want to play this as well?
No, I think we can.
Okay.
In terms of future trends in BIM, driven by innovative technology and the need for enhanced collaboration, the landscape of BIM is evolving rapidly. One of the pivotal trends that are shaping the future is artificial intelligence and digital twin. I'm looking at the time right now, so I'm pretty sure we all know about artificial intelligence. So I just want to dive a bit more into digital twins. So digital twin are virtual replicas of physical assets and their integration into BIM as a game changer. So digital twins allow us to have real-time data from sites, allowing teams to monitor progress, performance, and also to identify and address issues, ensuring that they do not arise during the project. It also facilitates with lifecycle management. With digital twins, owners can manage the entire lifecycle of a structure from the design phase to the construction phase, and also post-construction for maintenance and operation. Yes, and that's it for me. I'm just going to hand it back over to Tubbs for the case study.
Listen, thanks, Ali. Nice segue. Right. So it's actually quite nice that you chatted about digital twinning. Like this project, we worked on it, I think 3 years ago. Right. And for this specific client, right, they requested an asset information model. So this specific project it's in Pretoria, and we had the team to deliver a digital twin or digital model of this asset, right? It is already constructed, right? So I'll just put up a few images here, What was interesting with this file and with this project, in total, we needed to manage 72 different models, right, to put together this building. And the building itself was around 85,000 square meters, right? And that's what it looks like from the top. All the services were running on the roof, and there were some obviously service plant rooms in the basement, with 2 basements as well, right? Now, what the client requested was a fully coordinated model before construction, right? Coordinated in the sense that we need to sit down and check clashes on ACC, right? I'll show you some examples, right? And what that model coordination did, it aided the professional team identify design issues before going to site. What we did as well, as you guys know, when you're putting together a building on site, there will still be clashes, right? So we ended up using the digital file to run our site meetings where we dealt with RFIs, site instructions, contract instructions, etc., etc. It was quite interesting with this team here. Initially, as you all know in the industry, RFIs and site instructions are managed on Excel, or your site instruction book. I've seen big ones, but and they'll sit probably for 8 hours in site going through RFIs. And when we introduced this digital model that we're running coordination on, the meeting reduced by 6 hours, which saved the client quite a lot of money, right? As you guys know, professionals bill hourly for those meetings. Right.
And I think tell them it's about 40 professionals on that.
And there was around 40
It's
professionals
a
on that
huge
project.
saving.
Right. It was quite interesting, right? What we used hand over the digital twin was a platform called Tandem, right? Autodesk Tandem. It is freely available. It is a
Yeah. Yes.
So you can go to Autodesk Tandem, upload your Revit file or connect to your ACC, right, and bring in your information. Right. What I'm showing here is just a basic view of what Tandem looks like, but you're also able to link it to your mechanical, electrical equipment, etc., etc. Right. So we used Tandem to deliver the digital twin, and I think the operator is still using the platform today to manage. When it came to the class detection, what Ali was speaking about earlier, right? We used a combination of Navisworks and ACC, but mainly ACC. ACC was, we used model coordination on Autodesk Construction Cloud. I stop saying ACC. Right? But in this building, all the models in this instance were loaded for one of the blocks. Right, as you can see, this is real time. I didn't fast forward it, so we were able to manage all that data uh, in an easier platform. Navisworks is great. Right? I know some people still love it, like Ali. But the nice thing with using Navisworks and ACC, you can set up your coordination files in ACC and still do clash detection in Navisworks. So they are bi-directional. So you can make use of both tools. There was an instance earlier where a client was requesting to you, they're going to be working at a site where there's no internet, basically. So Navisworks will fall in place when you get those scenarios. What you're seeing now, I'm just going to quickly load our mechanical model and check it against the structural model. There were no clashes in this instance with a 0 tolerance, right? I wonder if it did a clash on this, yeah. The building is built already, so there aren't clashes, right? But the platform is quite easy to track issues as well. Right? I should have clashed what this looks like. Oh, that's fun. Okay, anyway. Go. Anyway, so eventually we got a building set up. We were checking issues on site, right? And what we would generally do when we have meetings with engineers and stakeholders on a project, instead of sitting in a project and going through technical stuff, right? If I'm sitting with an architect and an owner and a builder, we've making use of data analysis like a Power BI, for example, in this instance. We recently using tools like AI stuff like ChatGPT. Brooke doesn't really like it, but it helps in this process and putting together reports. So that's just a typical example of how we tracked issues on site. In this instance, we could see exactly which disciplines had the most issues. We knew exactly which part of the building had issues, right? And this has grown since then, hey, Ali. We track how long an issue is open, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. This is just data. This is just an example of making use of information and data that is in a 3D model. I can't say 3D models on Revit and ACC on your common data environment. Gonna add anything? Okay, cool. Right. Additionally, so this is how this was happening. This in there, man. Right. I'm not breaking any puppy acts. RFIs would tracked like this on an Excel sheet, would sit in meetings around a fact table, pull up an image, argue on who was wrong. But making use of this model, just like I mentioned earlier, it reduced those meetings by almost half. Right. Here's another example. This picture was taken on site. I think in this area there was an issue with ducting the fires. The pipes were a bit too low, right? And having some accountability using ACC, we're able to find out who was at fault, if the design was wrong, subcontractor, main contractor, etc., etc. Right. So this is just simple case studies on how information is used on projects and how we manage it on site. Okay. I haven't been checking the chat, but I think my team has been checking there.
Yeah.
So it's time for Q&A. Do we have any questions?
Guys, you can put your questions in the Q&A section or the chat section, and then we'll be able to address any questions that you may have. Obviously, it's an abundance of information, and we did speed through it a little bit, but yeah, please feel free to ask us anything, and we'll be able to help.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe just a couple of minutes.
Maybe you can switch back to that poll, and we can see
I
that.
just want to see how it, yeah. Let's quickly talk about this here. So notice a lot of 50% of attendees here. I think some people might have joined in a bit later, but when we started the presentation, I put up this QR code with a little activity form. But and the question was, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to BIM collaboration on projects? Right. And I can see 50% of people said poor communication between disciplines. Right. I know we didn't get time to really go into depth with it, but ACC as a common data environment assists with keeping people accountable. Right. We normally say when we set up projects, it's a low trust environment. Right. So you're able to actually see what other people are working on. You can receive the information as they publish and share it. Right. So there's quite a lot of can I say accountability and communication when using the correct tools. Right. And then the next one was a lack of alignment on standards. Right. I don't know if I can mention this, but there's a team of people that are working on taking those ISO 19650 standards and writing it to fit our market. So you'll notice a lot of terminologies that are in the document and the standards are UK based or global based. We don't call a principal agent an appointed party. So stuff like that is being fixed in our documentation. To take note as well, the ISO standards have already been approved by SABS. I'm correct, Aitat? Right, so it's very close. We're getting very close to a point where it's going to get mandated on our project. Right, and then lastly was limited use of collaboration tools, data management and version control. And there's more and less issues with difficulty on coordinating models. Right, this problem.
I think with the first one, the poor communication between disciplines, I've heard it from many clients that they use WhatsApp as their main source to communicate amongst projects. And if you're working on like 10 different projects and you have 10 different groups, it can become quite confusing, especially if you're trying to find different ways of communicating between WhatsApp and emails, and somebody saying that they didn't get that. And I think one of the cool features of BIM Collab Pro is that it actually now has a correspondence tool where you guys can actually correspond on that project within ACC. So everything is kept within that platform. You can also host meetings on there as well. So that really does help take care of that aspect. So it is becoming a lot more involved where you can just use ACC as your, your single or your central data point where everything that's connected to that project is in the project. So it is really a great tool, and I don't think we have any questions, and I'm hoping that means that we did a really good job. But yeah, if you guys do wanna, ask anything, we are available. Please feel free to contact us, pop us an email, give us a call, maybe
Yep.
give us fly a pigeon over here, whatever have you. But we'd be more than happy to help you guys and dive a little bit deeper into these different platforms that we can offer.
Awesome. Right. And then just,
Oh, we got
no,
a
we've got two
question.
questions. Yeah.
Okay, so the first one we have is, where does one start implementing BIM? My organization had both AEC and ACC, but no one knows how to utilize it. What do you recommend we start with?
Okay. Thanks, Samuel. Right. Yes, so just where you've got the correct tools, but you're not implementing them yet in your project. Right. So the first thing to do what I always say, when you receive a project, you need to have a discussion with your client, right, on what their expectations are, what they want to get, what they want to see as a deliverable. Most of the time, we get into a project, do the design work, get it built, and then walk away, and we forget that most of the work for a client is on operating that asset or that design that you just did. Once the requirements are set up, Samuel, within your team, you can put together an execution plan. We call it a BIM execution plan. That will guide you on how to implement or execute your project using the tools that you have, right? And from there, what essentially works, what we assist as well, we have BIM managers. You should have a BIM lead within your team that is managing this entire process. Most of the time, either it could be financial reasons or just time. Most companies outsource this function, and that's where Modena jumps in as well, and we can assist you with that process as well. Can you add anything?
Yeah, so I think just as Tab said, I mean, we always try and help our clients in the best way possible. So whether it's us doing that function for you or teaching you how to do that, we can definitely assist. And we'd like to get in touch with you after this and just see how we can help your team.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I think what would assist is keeping your ear on the ground. As Modena, on all our social media and on our websites, we constantly have these webinars where you can stay informed and find new ideas and also learn a bit more about BIM and how to actually facilitate BIM into your business or company.
We have another question from JP. He says the major issue with BIM is getting the older generation to switch, and also the price of BIM is extremely expensive.
Sounds like a sales question. Right. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, with any new software or platform, you always get the challenge of something that's new. It's daunting. It's hard to learn. But that's why we have a full team of guys just like these who are able to help. And, we've been assisting clients for over 25 years already. One of our colleagues actually just said, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he's been working on Revit for 20 years now. So it might be a little bit scary at first, but I promise you that we are here to help and guide you guys along all the way. So yeah, we can definitely assist with that. With regards to the pricing, I mean, there's two ways that you can look at doing it. One is implementing it as your own in your organization. And then another is actually just billing it out to the project and just seeing, what would the benefit be if the whole project runs on this. I think it's also a matter of looking at the return of investment, and we can definitely help you guys in looking at the different factors that go into that and just seeing how we can best assist. Because at the end of the day, you can do it in a more manual way, but that just actually costs you more time, which then costs you more money. So I think it's just looking at the different things and trying to weigh up which is the better option to go for, and we can definitely assist with that. I think we do have one more question from Luis. It says, how would you charge for BIM coordination? Are there any fee guidelines? I think with this one, we do need to just explore it a little bit more and just see, are you looking at doing this as a service for your clients or getting one of our team members in to assist? But yeah, there are different ways that we can go about that. And I think we can definitely take that one offline and come through and visit you guys and just see how we can help.
Awesome. Any more questions?
Let's check the chat. No. I
Cool.
think in the chat right now we have put that we would like to get your feedback. So if you guys can just hop on there, there is a link that you can follow. We also have the QR code available as well. So yeah,
Okay.
lots of access, guys.
Awesome. So we would love to hear from you. Just a little bit of feedback. The link is on the chat and there's a QR code. When you jump on, just take note. You will see it'll jump onto a web page and there's a little link there where you can click on, give us your feedback. Right. And just lastly, before we let you go, just to show you, we are running couple of campaigns. First one is Revit efficiency audits. It's a mouthful. Okay. So what you can do, you don't have a QR code on it, but it's on our website. We'll put up the links on the chat. Right. So if you can go in there, what we offering is just 10 slots a month where we will do model audits for free on your behalf. Right. And you'll see on the website, there's still just some details that affect Revit inefficiencies. Right. This is free. You'll see on the screen, there are still
There's still a couple of slots.
for 1 day left for March. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, guys. I think the main thing is that we are here to help, and it is quite a big thing, like going into BIM and how do you start it, and just struggling along the way. But please do get in contact with us. We are here to help. This is what we do. This is what we're here for. We're here to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. And also we run CCP training. CCP is basically a core competency program that we run at Modena, right? It's very focused on specific disciplines, and there's a huge list of specific topics that we go through. I know there's like advanced families for like a 2-hour workshop, curtain walls, etc., etc.
Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, we can definitely share some more information with you guys. It's worked really great for a lot of our clients that we have helped in adopting Revit and just improving their workflows and their efficiencies. So this is a really, really great tool that we'd like to share with you guys as well. We'll share some more information to all the attendees that have joined today. But we'd be more than happy to help you guys and just bring your level up to that expert user. I think there is another question.
Do we have time?
So we are recording the session, and I think this will be available on our website. Afterwards, I think it takes about a day or two to get uploaded. And then just with regards to the slides, we can also possibly share a few of these and share the videos and stuff like that. We'll look at putting a little pack together and just seeing if we can share to the attendees as well.
Awesome. Okay, thank you guys.
Right.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and we
Thank
hope
you
you
for
have a
joining us.
great Friday. Have a good weekend, guys.